Invisible Experts Podcast.
Okay, welcome back to the Invisible Experts Podcast. This is a space where we bring forward different voices, ideas, and experiences that are trying to shape a more thoughtful and impactful world. Often, I think, beyond the spotlight. So I'm your host, Andres, and today I have a special episode. My really good friend and deeply insightful thinker, I would say, Nikoline Arns, or Nick, for a conversation that sits right at this intersection of technology, systems, and the future of organizations. I think together we're going to try to explore what it really means to build intelligent organizations in a world that I suppose increasingly shaped by AI and blockchain. But I guess this isn't just a conversation about tool or trends. It's about maybe a little bit of power, governance, trust, and how these emerging technologies are quietly redefining how we organize, collaborate, operate, and make decisions, no? From perhaps at organizational level, at government level, at state level. So Nick is gonna bring, from my perspective, a unique approach, try to bridge strategy, innovation, critical thinking to help us unpack not only what's coming, but perhaps what should come. So if you have been wondering how AI and blockchain will transform organizations beyond the hype, I think this episode is perfect for you. So let's dive in. Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hey, Andres. Good to see you. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast. It's been on my radar for some time, and I was wanting to come here as well. So thank you.
No, thank you. I was trying to find the right spot, the right time to do it. Actually, Nick and we met few years ago, like maybe 2019, I suppose. No, 2018, I think, in Scotland. We were basically part of this amazing event where social entrepreneurs, sustainable entrepreneurs, we meet to each other and we try to perhaps propose alternative to this world, right? But Nikki always, has been really open about what she thinks, how she can make the world better, and how technology can play a big part of it, right, Nick?
Yeah, in the end, it's both ways. So, like, technology is developed for a purpose, so it's already coming from an intention. And of course, through that intention, if the technology scales up and a lot of people can using it, then also other things can speed up. So it's also the creation of technology and the usage of technology. It's both ends in this side, I feel. And the way that is being created says a lot about what is the intention and also what you can do with it. And
fantastic. So yeah. Nick, how about if we start with your journey? A little bit about your journey, Perhaps how drew you into working at such intersection of AI, blockchain, and businesses?
My journey. It's a nice one. I don't come from technology at all. I started as a designer. I like to shape things and build things and design things for a specific purpose. So I come from design officially. And then I always was connected to offline community building, more out of stubbornness, because some of the institutions that I wanted, for example, my kids to go to school with, or like there was no such thing as a co-working in my neighborhood. And I decided because it wasn't there, I would build it myself, and never really alone, also always with a group of people, especially with schools. We had groups of families and we built a little school and then after a big school. And then, these questions comes up because there's a group of people that come together because of their values. And then you actively decide, like, okay, so how are we going to make decisions based on these values? And then you shape governance systems that, you try things out. So with the big school, we tried out the sociocracy with like a huge group of people. There was 100 families involved, I think, when we started. And nobody had done that before. but we thought it was interesting because it fits with our values. It's like, okay, let's try it out. So we did that. We set up the school around sociocracy and everything. And then, yeah, that was like offline community building. So it was all cooperatives, associations, assembleas, and everything. And then I got to know the world of Ethereum through Lorenzo Patuzzo and Akasha Hub Barcelona. And I completely fell in love with them because it was exactly the same values that we were building our things with. It was just a completely different language and also a completely different scale of possibilities because it's based on technology, so it can scale up. It's not dependent necessarily on the amount of people that are there physically together in a space. So I was like, whoa, this is really cool, but how did people learn from each other? Because I saw that especially in the Ethereum, in the blockchain space, there was a lot of people that had like amazing ideas and amazing visions of groups of people managing things together digitally and then creating a DAO, like a decentralized autonomous organization. But there was always, of course, the architecture, like how do you build this structure of people making decisions? And I felt like there was so much to learn from the cooperatives, especially in that time in Catalonia, that I just felt like they were trying to reinvent a lot of systems that were already existing in the offline world. And I know that you know many of them as well, Andres, and all the social enterprises that we've seen. So yeah, I decided to bring those people together, and we did that with a lot of events and a lot of apps after and startups, and now I'm doing it through connecting physical spaces together so that people can actually share knowledge on another level. That is, yeah, a little bit in a nutshell.
That's amazing, because I remembered you tell me, okay, once you were practicing this offline community building, then you were trying to integrate technology in order to make it bigger and connect online different communities, different hubs around the world. Am I right? Or it was something like this, I remember back then.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always trying to put different communities together so they can learn from each other. So that's kind of like an ongoing thing. Even with the schools, there was also an organization that was really good at that. It was called Excel, with XELL. It's like a kind of network for little groups that's building their projects around education. And I felt like, oh, we should really optimize this because everybody is dealing with the same problems. And if we do that together, we can solve it so much easier. But yeah, it turns out that every project has their own world, and it's really, really intensive to build a community already. So to bring that network layer on top is something that it could help, but also it takes energy, right? So we need to balance that out.
Yeah, that's great. That's interesting, because before you were saying about this kind of cycle, no? When we talk about technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I presume, it's not only how we focus on how this technology works or just the technology itself works, but actually how you can integrate these into organizations, right?
Yes.
So could you elaborate a little bit how, when you operate in an organization and then you try to integrate any type of technology, how it's beneficial for it? And maybe, if you remember pros and cons, or how do you actually overcome these cons and make it better in order to, let's say, make this community works and connect. That would be awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it always starts from like a shared goal. Like you need to have some goal that you're working towards and have that really clear defined. And I've seen like more on the side of like building technology, which is also like a goal, right? But I've seen that in the open source space and how that can work and how it works and how it can speed up everything like completely crazy. It's just like a value system that all knowledge should be open and everybody should be able to build on top of everybody else's stuff. So you would upload like a great idea somewhere, and somebody was like, oh yeah, this is a great idea, I'm going to use it, but I'm going to improve it with this. And then you also share it. And so it becomes like improvement on improvement on improvement on improvement. And then you can accelerate like super, super fast. And you can see this especially now, which thought to be a challenge in the beginning, because especially with AI, it was very dominated by the big closed companies, because they have just so much money power and manpower and server power and energy power, everything, that they had like a very, very big advantage. But you see slowly how open source communities are getting up to speed. And for example, projects like OpenClaw, or even like before, more like AI models that were open source, they would be very fast in getting an amazing quality. So you can see that at some point, the open source, if you do it with a lot of different people all over the world and all sharing your code and everybody building on top of it, that creates a very open philosophy and open culture that actually is a lot more powerful in the end than these closed companies.
Amazing. So can you explain us a little bit for our audience, what's the difference in between open source and closed source, for someone who is like, maybe what these people are getting at or what they're talking about?
For example, you have a little app that you build, like just with your own team. Maybe you have like a little office somewhere and you're all building it, like everybody is putting the code together, and you're making very sure that nobody gets this code, because otherwise you're scared that your competitor is going to take it and then make money out of it, you know? This happens a lot in like, I would call it old school companies, but it actually is still there. Like all the, for example, innovation areas like car companies, or like, this kind of companies, they are very extremely paranoid about their technology getting out, because then the competitor would get it. And in some of the cases, of course, if it comes to social security or like military things, you can understand it. But in other apps that actually should benefit all humans, that can actually help everybody, if you build this open source, that means that you would build a part of it, or maybe all of something that's useful, and then you would just upload it to a website where you can download the code and you can use it and build on top of it. And then you upload that again in the same repository, which means that you basically have a web page where you can see all the versions of a specific app or a specific code, and you can just download whichever one you want and use it or build it on top of it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I bet. Now I understand, no, the importance of building community and everybody benefited to each other. No, I want to talk about AI, blockchain, and its real value. Okay, there is a lot of hype around AI right now, right? Many companies feel a little bit pressured to adopt it quickly. From your experience,
A little bit.
yeah, I know. I mean, some
A lot.
people, they want to adapt super quickly. That's true.
Yeah,
From your experience, why or what do people often misunderstand about AI in businesses?
Hyped
Yes.
so much, just like, oh, it's completely magic. You just get it in your organization, and all of a sudden you're completely efficient, and you're gonna and it's not, unless you really have like the internal infrastructure to run it, and you understand, and you have very skilled people that know how to implement it and actually make it across your whole organization, especially if you are like a little bit of a medium or an enterprise. Then you really need to have everything in-house, which is like a huge border. And security-wise, also, it's a little bit tricky still. Like it's not just like a magic solution for your whole team, because it can work. Of course, you can get a lot more efficient, but what I've seen of most of the teams wanting to implement is like, okay, now we're gonna get AI because the boss told us that we should use AI because his investors are expecting us to use AI, and then you need to use it. And it was like, okay, but what are we gonna use it for? So it's kind of like outsourcing the strategic intelligence of the company to an AI, because an AI can be whatever you want it to be. It's basically just automation on your processes. And it's not one AI for everything. It's like you have all the processes that you want to do or you want to optimize, then you design how you want that optimization, and then you design and program the automation. So it's like it's not as simple as just like, let's throw in an AI and everything is going to be solved. And that is sometimes how it's been sold, and that's not matching the reality.
That's super interesting. So basically, on the one hand, there is this knowledge, no, about how to use AI, right? And on the other hand, can we say that perhaps it's about whether or not we need it and how we need it?
Yeah,
Am I right?
Yeah, for sure. Especially if it's about long-term team relations also. What I've seen is like if you bring an AI into a team, there is a lot of different changes in how people work together. Because one of them is, it's basically you get like a new team member, which is the AI. And like, how do you deal with it? Is it like your baby? Are you taking care of it? Or is it like you're scared of it because it's gonna take your job at some point? So there's a lot of cultural changes as well in a team. It's not just about the technology, especially around AI, because it feels so threatening and so godlike that people feel, that this team member is... that there's a lot of emotions involved. There's a lot of changes in how people work with each other. There's a lot of things to pay attention to if you want to bring AI into your company, I think.
So basically, from the practical side, let's say I run a business, okay? And I say, wow, what is that about AI? So it's basically having a team member who is super efficient, who, in a way, is very quick to make decisions, okay? Perhaps, it's quicker than maybe 10 men people, 10 women working, or 10 members of your team player, if you know how to play it right. So you bring the AI and implement it, right? And then what? So how it works? So basically like, usually people are more familiar with these open AI, like, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, etc., etc. And so, in reality, how organizations are bringing AI? Do they sign to ChatGPT and then they start to use it as a company, or they pay someone to create an AI specifically for the company or the need they're looking for to solve or take on board? How it works?
Usually if it's like bigger company, they already have some kind of contracts, either with Anthropic or with Microsoft or with like another company, are already like that provides other software. So basically they are kind of already limited to one model. They can have multiple, but it's also expensive. Then it's just the model, and then how you use it, you would need to create agents, and that of course can vary. Like you can just decide first what you want to do, and then you create the automation, which basically is the agent. And you say, okay, I want this agent to be this, and this. I want to have this character and these skills. So you kind of like design your team member, and you also say what it needs to do. And what you said, like, about making decisions faster. If you really want to put like decisions making AIs, I would really not go there like specifically. You need to really analyze, okay, what do we want to use it for? What is it good at? And what can it do better than we could do it, or save time? And then you just use it for this. So maybe you can analyze like maybe policies or things that happen, or there's laws or like things that you need to regulate, or like whatever you need, like that has like a big, huge analytical power that would take a human like very long to research. and AI is like super good in that. But then making the decisions based on these outcomes, I would still like at least keep some humans there that have different criteria than AI has, or that at least these big models and agents usually
That's
have.
great, man. Thanks. So basically, like in very simple words, what from your perspective, of course, what AI is good at and what AI isn't good enough yet.
Yeah, I don't know, because this is every day. It changed already.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
by the time people hear this podcast, probably some things that I might say is not good at, just basically maybe it's already happening. But yeah, especially now, I would really take a look at OpenClaw, which breaks open everything that we know about agents and what they can do, and especially the accessibility of it. So it's really good at automating tasks, like the sequences. Like, oh, okay, I receive an email. If this email is about this topic, I want this to be chopped down in like 3 tweets that go out on Twitter, and then reply to other tweets that also mention these topics, whatever. That's a kind of like sequence flow of what an AI could do. Or yeah, but you need to design these automations. You really need to be mindful of what you're designing, and yeah, then you create your agents and you just kind of play around with it, and mostly just have fun. Like, don't take it too seriously, at least not in the beginning. Before you applying it on your business, you should play around with it a little bit, like personally, or just as a team, as like workshops and stuff, and see what fun things you can do with it. Because yeah, automation, it's just automation. Like, oh, if this happens, then I want this and this and this to happen automatically, and then you create your automations. And
Fantastic.
yeah,
So it has to be fed, basically. It has to
oh yeah,
be, we need to feed it with information. So per
yeah.
se,
And
AI,
especially
it
be
doesn't have a
specific
knowledge.
about what kind of information, because if you're not specific, the AI just goes all over the place.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So I love to bring in sometimes, like, how we use it, and then we think the AI have knowledge, which is not right. I mean, basically, it cherry picks information from the, from the World Wide Web, and then, it brings you different information, but per se, it doesn't have knowledge, right? Am I right? I'm not.
I mean, no, it does. I mean, knowledge in the sense of the word knowledge, I don't think so. It's kind of like tricky because, especially I've been reading some like papers even from philosophers and things like what does certain words mean, like knowledge, understanding, and that like in relation to AI. And yeah, from my perspective, there's different levels. Like the big models that we use, like even in the browser and stuff, that gets their knowledge from the World Wide Web. You can already see like it's really tricky to actually get like decent answers from there, because also the content that it scrolls from right now mostly is dominated already by AI. It's very repetitive, so the search engine, for example, it doesn't work as well as it used to, because most of the top finders is just a repetition of certain keywords, and all these articles is just one AI writing an article, copying this article, making it a little bit different, copying it. Like, so the content that the AI, at least on the browsers and the things that it's really hard to get like real knowledge, because this content is already also created by AI. So it's one AI understanding the AI. You see where that is going. But yeah, the knowledge, I mean, it's also what you feel it. Like, we've been experimenting with like controlled databases that basically are created by humans, that you can just run locally, and you have your own little model that is also run locally, and that is searching on these data sets. So then that is, for example, one way that you bring back the trust of the knowledge, or the what you feed it back to humans and their criteria. Like, for example, if you want to search something about social enterprise and business and everything, I would rather search on your database that you curated with all the research that you did, and I would search on that and have that as a knowledge input for an AI to, my local AI to try to understand it and explain it to me. I would rather do that than to search online, for example, for the same information.
That's actually interesting, because what I've seen is like people like me who have no idea about that technology behind, who perhaps I consume it and I use it as a consumer. I'm very impressed, the capacity that the AI has to do different tasks, since making music, through, I don't know, doing voiceovers, helping you with the videos, photography, creating images, helping you to organize data is rather impressive. So I would say maybe it's good to give you suggestions to make decisions. Of course, as you suggested before, it's better always to, take into account that still a bot, right? And also like predictions, maybe if you don't feed the technology enough, you wouldn't have like reliable information to predict certain tendencies, because as you said, it's just cherry picked perhaps from articles made already by AI before. And perhaps what I think is good is learning from data, perhaps.
Learning from data, and I mean, you can do like a lot of meaningful things. What I always try to keep in mind is that at least the big AI models, what they are mostly trained to do is to understand human behavior, because they are trained to be our assistants and to really study how human behavior works. And that is their main objective. That is how they are programmed, so they can assist us. So it's not necessarily about the knowledge, it's about they know how humans behave. So if you use it for strategies and marketing and things like how other humans would perceive your product or how you would communicate it, AI is super good in that, because it's trained for this human behavior mainly. So that is where I always see the most use case, successful ones, because it really knows how to make visually things pretty, how they know exactly what most people like in an image. So it's already studied human behavior for so long that it really knows what to do so other people would perceive it. And yeah, that's very interesting. I'm not necessarily happy about some of the also outcomes, because if you know how humans behave, then you can also influence it, right? And that is of course the other side of AI that people are mostly scared of at this moment.
Wow. Thank you, Nikki. Listen, that was an amazing introduction. As I said before, I'm not an expert in it. I'm just trying to understand, how AI is working. I told you offline that I've been doing a massive research how to apply AI in businesses, especially in our sector, in the, let's say, sustainable sector. And it's very interesting to see how to do it, how companies are integrated. Some of them, they don't know how to use it yet. Maybe they see it as an advantage. Others, they see it as a threat, because perhaps their jobs, may be under jeopardy. We never know, right? But the reason why I asked you to join us in this podcast is about blockchain, right? Which I suppose it could be maybe seen as the trust layer, or in terms of memory system, right? So let's say AI is the brain, and then blockchain would be the memory system. Would you agree with that, or how would you combine these AI and blockchain together? Because blockchain per se is a very interesting topic, but also complex at times. I've been reading a lot about it. I play a little bit back in the day with blockchain, but I didn't get it really, So since you are...
Yeah, for the blockchain and AI together, it's interesting collision, I would say, because basically blockchain exists because of encryption and protecting data. and AI is actually completely the opposite. Because you cannot index information if it's encrypted, you cannot create vectors, you cannot do anything with encrypted data. So encryption and AI by default don't really match. And so therefore I have not seen any like blockchain systems that could be the memory of an AI thing like that. Maybe the knowledge, the databases where it pulls its knowledge from can come from blockchain, but not as a system integration. First, because it's extremely expensive, because if you would query blockchain in the fast amount of queries that the AI needs to operate, it's nobody can afford this. It's completely insane. So therefore, I don't see so much the blockchain and AI as like systems integrating. People, of course, they are like really, really trying to find ways to encrypt data before it gets into models and then train models with encrypted data, or like having at least on the outside, like if you would do a chat, if that stays encrypted or private, yeah, that would be interesting, but it's very, very big challenge to do, to be honest. And yeah, blockchain is mostly about privacy, anonymity, encryption, and of course storage that cannot be altered. So yeah, it's very tricky. What I do see is like the peer-to-peer knowledge sharing, instead of putting it into big clouds where AI pulls their data from. There's a lot of different use cases that you can combine the best of both. But that is mostly, like the data, you share it, you can share that peer-to-peer, and then you have an AI looking on this data instead of the World Wide Web or anything else. That could be interesting.
Okay. So in simple terms, what would be blockchain? You know, if someone is thinking about AI, what would blockchain would be, you know, in this universe? In the AI scenario.
In the relation to AI.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I don't know. I would see blockchain more as like preserving knowledge rather than, data, rather than being combined with an operational system like AI. Because an AI is like, think about everything that it thinks about, or like when it's processing and all the queries that it needs, all the thing, it takes a lot of energy, and it needs a lot of different data inputs from everywhere. So basically how you train a model is like you're putting a lot of knowledge there all the time that get like vectorized. It's like this knowledge connects to this knowledge, like this data connects to this data in this way and in this way and in this way and in this way. So it kind of creates its own network of neurons between all this data. And that is like a lot of compute. You know, it's like, it takes a lot of energy. And this, by definition, I would not combine it with the blockchain, because if you query something from a blockchain, you need to really search for it. You know, it's like blocks of data, and that are not so easily queryable because most of it is encrypted. So yeah, it's very different technologies, to say. It's built up from different intentions, which brings me to that, like how you build the technology with what intention will also dictate a bit how you can use it, or what is the potential of being used like that. So blockchain is mostly used for like for private, keeping things private and anonymous and forever, and AI does not have any interest in that, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah, because the other day I was reading an article about AI and blockchain, and they were basically, this article was focusing on decentralized AI systems, right? So what this article was saying is like blockchain allows distributed AI networks. So data models can be shared without, let's say, central control. Hence, it would be more democratic, more transparent AI ecosystems, if you wish. Yeah. So would you say that that's fair, or maybe
Yeah, that's one part of it that can be decentralized, but that is again, it's most like about sharing the knowledge. So you would have like a model, and you would put that knowledge of how the code works and everything like on a decentralized network. So it's kind of like spread out. It would not be deleted, and it's accessible to everyone. So then you can learn from it and build on top and make things happen. And yeah,
Yeah.
of course, decentralized is always it's always better to at least spread out power concentrated systems. But in terms of AI, I'm not super knowledgeable. And I think maybe you know more about this than me.
No. Just because before we were about to have this podcast, I was reading a few articles and doing a little bit of research, and it was interesting to see also about decentralization, which is a huge part, and the other one it was security and trust, because that was another article made by these scholars in the UK. They were saying that blockchain protects against data tampering, right? And then AI helps perhaps to detect anomalies, fraud, cyber threats.
Yeah.
So they were claiming that together there would be a stronger cybersecurity frameworks to do that. But then again, it's not. They were trying to testing it out, but as you said, it's really hard because it's encrypted, and then AI basically cannot or doesn't have the capacity to go there and maybe like extract safe data, a reliable data that this blockchain supposed to guard, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you really want, like, I would check out the work of Jordi Bailina, for example, who is one of the key decentralization people in blockchain, and he's also very interested in how this could work with AI, and he really has his like set of values to not create centric power systems, which is very interesting. He's been playing around with homographic encryption as well, and creating different ways to be able to encrypt data for an AI and how to use it decentralized. And it's just some very interesting work there.
Fantastic. So from your perspective, how do you see complemented to each other, AI and blockchain? How do you see perhaps they would complement to each other?
Yeah, I would focus the knowledge base and the knowledge preservation and sharing on the blockchain, and then have AI helping with that. But yeah, I'm maybe not the right person to ask, because I'm very skeptical about letting an AI loose on encrypted data. And also I know that there's a lot of people already using agents to make transactions between wallets and everything. And it's been done successfully. There's a lot of automation you can do, especially on blockchain, because everything, even though you want it to be encrypted, there's a lot of information that is publicly accessible. So you can follow, it's like you have your bank account completely online, transparent. So if you want to create things between that, of course, with an AI, it's easier. But I'm myself, I'm a little bit skeptical about that. But there's been a lot of successful apps using AI, specifically also with transactions or maybe prediction markets. If it's more on the money side of things of blockchain, definitely. If it's mostly about the encryption and the anonymous and the privacy, a bit less success.
No, but that's interesting, man. I want to know why you are so like a little bit skeptical about it. It's fun. Why would you be skeptical? Because it's always
I mean, it's mostly about how it's been used now. Like,
okay.
I'm mostly skeptical about like these huge models that are just working with shitloads of data and using it to really study human behavior and also be on the other side of that. So that is where I'm skeptical. Where I am excited is as people really experimenting on local computers, creating their own agents in an open source way. Like, for example, the Open Claw that I mentioned before. That is a very interesting project because it's really open source and everybody's playing around with it. And it's actually using not only blockchain, but also like your computer or like just your WhatsApp phone conversation. You can just ask your WhatsApp to do something, and then the agent takes over and he does it for you. So it's like it makes AI like super accessible and also super flexible, because people can really play with it because it's all open source. And that is where I see the most exciting things happen. And that can be also with blockchain data, especially with transactions and things that you want to do on your local computer, or maybe with your private keys. I don't know. I would just very skeptical, because yeah, with AI
Who is behind those? Who was behind OpenClaw?
it's like until it's completely open, transparent, and we know everything, then I would just be skeptical, like from the get-go. Like even today there was news that Claude uploaded their source folder to some like a place that everybody could download it. So there was like a huge leak on all the code of Claude. And that was interesting, because then you have a lot of people going through that code and trying to find out why it's coded like that, what is inside the code, why the mega prompts, like what is it designed to do, and what are the rules, and this, people get so excited because there's no without these leaks there's no insight in what is been coded there, what has been asked of the model, what is it supposed to do. And this is a kind of uncertainty that I believe has a lot of people also like me being skeptical, but I don't know what it's supposed to do, because that's behind closed doors. So I wouldn't let it loose on my personal wallets and blockchain and everything.
So for people who have never, maybe used it or want to use it or are curious about it, is OpenClaw, CLAW, right?
Yes, OpenClaw. Yeah.
So basically, you open the doors of your computer, you let OpenClaw in, and it's like your AI assistant.
Yeah. It's like agents. So when you can create different agents, of course, you give them a nice nickname, and you have one agent for this, one agent for that, and it's all open source. So people creating their agents and they uploading the code, so other people can say like, oh, this agent actually could work for me. I'm gonna use it, and maybe I'll adjust it a little bit, and then I'll put it back in the community. So everything is like open, and a lot of people having a lot of fun with this. And most of the people do have like a separate computer, or just like a specific Mac Mini that is definitely not connected to all their Google emails accounts, or like something that is a bit more like safe environment to play around with it, until you see what can be done with it. And if you trust it enough, you connect it to all your other accounts. But it's basically automated agents that is very accessible and open source. So you actually know what you're dealing with. I mean, you still don't know exactly, but at least it's there. It's open, you can play, you see the code. So it opens up to a lot of more people.
But that means you have to know about code or coding.
Not necessarily. I mean, with OpenClaw, it's easier. And that is also the benefit of AI, because it's AI. So you can also ask AI, what does the code mean? Like, you don't need to be a coder necessarily to try to understand AI. So that is the funny thing. It becomes accessible to a lot more people because of AI. So you can.
That's crazy. So
the
basically,
code of AI with the AI.
It works for you, and also like gives you a solution to understand, even though you are not tech savvy, which is my case. I mean, I'm trying to like always, if I learn something new, I try to implement it to my area of work. In this case, organization, right? So in order to summarize, you are skeptical about not the technology of AI, but the ethics behind it.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah. But it also comes a little bit with the why it was created in the first place.
Okay.
So,
which you claim is?
But it's like I think it's like the two ways. Like AI for me started very like it's basically created for control, and then there is always this counter movement, like how can we break this apart so it becomes of everybody, and everybody can dominate and play with this AI and make this technology actually work for them, and make them more like free and autonomous human beings. And then there is blockchain, which is created from the other perspective. First, like how can we be free and objective, free human beings and independent, and that comes from this side. So at some point they're gonna collide. But I see now exactly with the AI that it's opening up and it's breaking up, and these kind of projects like OpenClaw and other decentralized projects, they give me more hope that we're getting there.
So if a business, let's say, hired you as a technology advisor, right? Would you like recommend them to pay for these AI platforms or use the free version?
I would not necessarily hire myself as like
But let's say you're a dear friend of you, right?
But if it was someone like, I would, for security reasons, right now, I would probably do a paid version. Also because the free versions that exist now are pretty limited if you want to use them as like a service.
So basically as a friend, no? Nikki, how's it going? He said, Nick, I'm trying to use AI. Shall I pay for it or shall I use the free version? You say, pay for it, right?
Yeah, I would pay for it. Then at least for security wise, I think you're better. Because
if you pay, you ensure your data is secured, quotation marks.
I think that
you're supposed to.
I would not go necessarily, for secure. Maybe you would get the most benefit out of what you get, because the free versions usually are more limited in capacity of thinking, and like if you really want to use it efficiently, you would just go for a paid version, or you really get someone that knows how to use like systems that are open, and you design your own stuff. But that's also not for free, right? So you get
of course.
It's like a one payment, and then you get someone that actually knows their stuff. They design it for you, and then you can maybe use it for free, or you have it on your local system. But it depends if you want to pay monthly or you want to do it upfront, and then after you have it, I don't know. Up to the people. It depends on what you want to use it.
Yeah, as you said before, which I think is a very important point, it depends on your organizational objectives or even personal objectives, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it would safe to say that not all the companies or perhaps all the businesses need these technologies, right?
Yeah, I would first see, like, do you actually really need it? And if you do need it, like, what do you want to use it for? And be very specific. And like, if it's just for this, maybe we don't need this huge model. We don't need this huge money per month. We just need this. Oh, actually, it's just automation. Okay, we can do that with a smaller model and we can get the same results. So, but it's about analyzing very well what is the goal and narrow that down as much as you can. And then you're going to ask around, because people want to sell you the whole. If you ask someone like, oh yeah, I'm a business animal, I should use AI, what should I use? And people always try to sell you the biggest the biggest packages, but it's not always needed.
So I suppose it depends on the size of the company, whether it's a small or a medium one or it's a big one. Do you think, maybe they would perhaps decide whether to use AI or perhaps to use blockchain, or perhaps both if it's necessary, or it's just a hype? My people, oh yeah, let's use it, and then they ended up, going back to the same operations and the same modus operandi.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now it's so hyped up that a lot of organizations are just saying like, okay, so there's this AI thing, what we're gonna do with it? Just because it's a hype and the investors are expecting us to do something with AI and everything like that. And I feel like that is completely the wrong way around. Like, if you have an organization, you would make like a wish list. Like, if you would have like whatever can happen, what would be the best scenario for you? You would be like, okay, I want my team to be happy. I want them to be very efficient. I want them to give me reports like that I know what is happening, or that they know from each other what is happening and how they, whatever. Make the wish list as crazy as you can get, you know? And then you see, okay, which technologies actually would help to make that happen. And then, yeah, you still need to investigate, because some of them may be more related with decentralization, or with decentralized decision making, or with private conversations, or some other things would be like automations that you can do, that you can set up with AI. But first you need to make the wish list, you know, and you can get as close as possible, because the technology is going so fast that maybe the wish list now looks like half of it would be super unrealistic, but in 6 months from now you can already do a lot of things with that.
That would be crazy. I mean, like, technology is advancing at a really fast rate, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can do a lot of stuff, but in the end it's all about how people work together, and what you actually do with your company, and which you are already expert in. So if your wish list is to create like a huge energy efficient, or bring energy down, like lower, and be more green and sustainable and all this stuff, if you have a business model specifically around that, yeah, then maybe sharing the knowledge about how you get around it or how you make it happen would actually amplify the impact, and then you would see how you can use technology with that. Like, it's all about what you want to do in the end.
Yeah, of course. And this is the challenge that businesses have, right? What they want to do, and why they would be, you know, in the position of whether or not to use either AI or perhaps blockchain, which I think blockchain is used by a lot of businesses.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even the word blockchain, it's like it's a technology, of course, but it's been used in many different ways. I mean, you can also just create like a whole digital identity social credit system on the blockchain and still use it to monitor what is happening around the world, instead of having this kind of independent, freedom, private individuals that maybe it was designed for. So it also depends. But yeah, blockchain is being used a lot in very meaningful projects.
That's great. So let's talk about real world practice, right? I remember we were having a conversation one day, right? Especially how we can use AI for education, right? Which is one of my areas. And then I was talking, oh, maybe, you know, I'm doing this project with these like school, like kids at school, maybe AI can help, you know. But then we were talking about, you know, data, and you know, how we actually like protect the data within it, because obviously we're talking about with like a group of children. We don't want this data to go out and be like accessible or available for anybody, you know. So I remembered, you know, what really stood out to me was this shift from generic AI tools to more bespoke, which means you were saying, you know, AI systems can be tailored to specific organizations. What might be better in some cases to design AI specifically for business rather than using off-the-shelf tools, right? But you were saying also that they were more expensive, of course. So
I mean, was, but now you can also code the AI using AI. So you have a lot of this vibe coding and stuff, or like it's getting less expensive to actually build it too. So that is speeding up pretty fast.
So in that sense, from your experience, when does that type of investment actually make sense? When you want to basically, you know, build up an AI specifically for your business rather than using an off-shelf tools.
Yeah, that would make complete sense, especially if it's for education or like other social enterprises. Like, for example, we were in Taiwan with Aisha, which doing an amazing company on building
I love this project. Yeah.
for people, and like they also have AI that helps them, but it's like a very secure, like local run system, so the personal data of the clients and their patients are not gonna go anywhere. That's like controlled within their system. And yeah, that kind of thing is very important just to think about, instead of just saying like, oh, let's just all plug in the chat GPT for our class and everybody's gonna do our homework with that. And then it's like you don't have any knowledge about what's going to happen with that data, or where does it end up to, or even worse, like, oh, what's coming back to your students. It's like it's AI is not super new, but it's new enough that we actually do not realize what is the effect on people using it. Like
So if, for instance, you run, like, let's say you run a law firm, right? And then you work perhaps with, quite difficult cases. It could be like violence, sexual abuse, or perhaps nowadays talking war crimes. So would you suggest perhaps using or maybe integrated an AI specifically for these kind of like businesses because of the data that you use, which can be private, and they cannot be like in a generic AI?
Oh yeah, for sure. With private data, I think most of these kind of companies, like especially with this kind of cases, they already have like a policy that you cannot plug this data to any kind of outside servers. So they have that already. So if you would not plug that into a generic supermodel with Microsoft servers AI, you would, in a law firm, you would be using already public information, that is all the laws and all the clauses and everything, as like an input for giving you advice. That would save you a lot of time. So that way it's easier. But of course, the input and the queries that you would ask this, if it gets very specific, you cannot do that the other way around, or you need to have it like on your closed system.
So let's say in practice, right? I run a little, consultancy in terms of like, I don't know, I'm a psychologist, right? And I take notes to talk to my patients. They tell me stuff, we go through the whole process. Then I want to actually make a hard copy of it. What happened? And, let's say have a historical, copy of it, like clinic, archive. So usually like you can take a photo and then like at least any generic AI can type for you in your notes and organize it. And then you can download this into a document and you have already this done. So my question is like, in this case, if you use a generic AI, do you think your data would be like, which is private, you are sharing it, without permission?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, even though if it's paid, no?
Yeah, even though it's paid. I mean, you can have a dedicated server and everything, but I mean, if it was my practice, I would just put it on a local server and store it there, and not have. I mean, if you would use the AI just for accounting or like making documents or like bureaucratic things, you don't need that private data of like recordings and all this kind of stuff to make that happen. No? So you just need like maybe the names of your clients and their birth dates or something. And I still would not want to put that there. But yeah, it's what do you want to use it for? If it's just accounting, maybe you just send like the data that's not connected to their identities to your accountant, and the accountant is using the AI to make the accounts. I mean, it's all like, again, like if you're a psychologist, why do you want to use AI? Why?
No, maybe like if you run a practice, as you said, and then you want to have basically like a history archive of your sessions from this particular this particular client, and then or patient, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not psychologist, and then you have like, let's say 10 sessions, and then you can actually ask AI to find patterns, for instance, or maybe you can even prompt it and say, listen, I'm thinking this, maybe if you integrate this perspective, let's say any like very Freudian or from Jung, and then maybe let's help me to analyze this, I don't know. As you said, AI is a universe, right? So if I would like to use it like this, right? I would say AI would be more efficient if you have a specific AI with your own server for your own practice. Is that correct?
Sure. I would do that just to make and as long as it's also not connected to the identity of those people that actually gave you their like, if you have this data disconnected from the identity and you cannot trace it back because of what they said, then you can still do it, but I would do it just on your like local computer.
Okay, but if you have your own software, so AI would be your assistant. I mean, is there any software available for anything that they integrate an AI which helps you to do these kind of tasks, to organize and find patterns, and not necessarily you will be connected to a generic AI tool? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think there are examples already. It would basically be like a notebook LLM, but running it like local, not connected to Google. So
like no ChatGPT would be like your own software, then you make your notes and you just have an AI helping you to find patterns without necessarily, and then you collect, and basically you would store this data to your own server. Yeah, is it that possible?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't know the exact tool right now, but I'm sure that this exists already. Even what the things you can do with Oleama already on your own computer. Yeah, it's just to try to set that up as local as possible. Just to run
for the data
locally, and exactly.
Yeah, because I remember. Sorry, I just keep talking about it, which is not, But I was because you mentioned something about, from my perspective, it was critical. You were saying data control and management. So how does combining AI, then again with blockchain, would help organizations maintain better control over the data?
Well, there is different layers that you can put on top. Like if you would go into ZK, for example, ZK knowledge.
Which is? I have no idea.
Basically, ZK is like it's a technology that it gives you a kind of encryption that you can verify data without actually exposing this data. It's to say, you have maybe your like personal profile. No, you have Andres Morales, you have PhD, you are having this driver's license, you have this medical record, you are this age and everything. If you would go to like a website or some kind of app that you need age verification, it can just go to this profile, and because it's with ZK, it kind of like has the information about you that you can ask for without revealing that information. So maybe the app only asks through the ZK, like, hey, is Andres, is he, is he has more than 18 years because he wants to go in this website? And then it just say like, yeah, he does. But they don't give you the birth date, which is a very, very identifiable and private information if you don't need to give it. So with ZK, you can kind of control what kind of data is being verified without being openly about it.
Something which is really interesting about our conversation, I don't want you to keep you so long, but it was about decision making. What I really like, what you just mentioned is like, okay, AI wouldn't help you to make decisions. I mean, maybe it will help you to organize the information. Then, perhaps, based upon what this AI learned or others learned, it can give you suggestions, but you still have to make decisions, right?
Yeah.
So
I would not outsource it. I'm a bit stubborn in that.
okay, no, but that's great, no? Because sometimes this process of decision making, it could be hard, in a company. Okay, how should we do?
Especially because like big models, they are like they're trained to be your assistant. So basically what it is that they would mostly agree with you. They don't want to make you feel bad. So even if they would give you other information than you were expecting to see, they would still do it in a way that seems like they really agree with you, which
But they are agreeable.
yeah, and we have a lot of already studies now that actually the people that are exporting their decision making on AIs, that they kind of like feel that they are always right. And
my God,
that
that's
is
so
not
true.
always favorable when you are trying to make
That's so true.
collaborative work, or you want to make decisions together, or you need to negotiate with a partner or something like that, and it kind of amplifies that people feel like they're right. So I would just be cautious about letting the AI make decisions.
Yeah. So maybe let's say, if you could possibly think about an example where a business could use AI, possibly integrating blockchain, and actually improve decision making or efficiency. Could you think about the best scenario?
I mean, I would use blockchain to share knowledge and to have it peer-to-peer stored. So it's kind of like more secure and accessible for people, and then have that knowledge being queried by local AIs that are specifically designed for a purpose. Like I want this AI to analyze this data for blah, blah, blah. And then you can direct very narrowly one AI. It helps you, it gives you the overview, and then with a group of humans, you would make decisions on this data. That is how I would probably use it. Maybe AI is helping us to realize how valuable human teams actually work together.
Okay, that's great. Listen, the other day I was reading a couple of articles in a business journal, right? And few of them, they were pointing out that many organizations or many businesses adopt AI expecting immediate results. Obviously, like, there is a tendency to be over positive. Oh, AI is great, you should integrate it, the results saying that is fantastic. From the positive side, because I know you're very skeptical, which is great. You have to be critical. We have to be critical about it. What surprised you the most about how AI actually works in practice inside companies? What you heard, you experienced, even this fantastic case of the lady in Pakistan. They do prosthetics.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I think like in the medical field, there's AI is really, really good at realizing and recognizing patterns and seeing also abnormalities. So how do you say, like, when it's something is out of the pattern? So in this kind of things, like analyzing with medicals, like medical records or medical photos, or like it can really detect like super fast, like, oh, there's something off here and there's something off.
Wow.
So that kind of thing has a lot of impact, of course. And I've been using it a lot, like on a personal level, more to analyze also, get insights on documents and papers, and maybe even political bills, things that affect us as a society. That's mostly written in a language that seems like English, but it's like very difficult to understand. And I really like the use case of AI letting it loose on these kind of documents. It's like, oh, there's one bill that has been passed with this law. It's only 800 pages. And then the Senate needs to make a decision in 2 days. And then you expect people to actually make decisions on this document that is very vaguely written. And then if you analyze that with an AI, you get like, oh, actually, that is what it says. That's interesting. That doesn't mean you don't still need to ask questions, like really critical questions of really what you want to know. But still, I think it helps to bridge a lot of knowledge in different language, either if it's a cultural barrier or if it's another really completely different language. So that is where I see it's, at least for communities and more like civil assemblies and basically sharing knowledge, it's has a lot of effect on language and accessibility of knowledge.
Yeah, that's great, man. Great examples. Do you think we are truly in an AI revolution?
Yeah, I would say technological revolution, definitely. It's been going on for some time, but I also feel like now people are starting to grasp more what they can do with it and have more insights on it. And the revolution is only starting. Because the technology really should be in for everyone. I mean, you have this little machine, like you cannot see it through the thing.
No.
We don't even know how it works. So unless, like, the revolution will only really start when we know how to build our own phones exactly how we want it to be, and that we really on a massive level understand not only software but also hardware.
Yeah. So looking ahead, how do you see this relationship between AI, blockchain, and businesses evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
I would even also then include like more other kind of like networks that maybe are not blockchain, but like maybe microgrids or mesh networks, because I feel I mean 5 years is long for this technology revolution, but I think there will be like two sides. Probably the big models and the big companies are still going to be big, but there's also like a lot of smaller players that are doing the open source, and they are really making this technology work for their sector. And they would probably needing to go away a bit from the huge companies and develop things indoor. But they will not do it completely alone by isolated organizations. But I think they would group in like sectors that have kind of overlapping missions and develop tools together. And yeah, I really believe that is like it gets more on a local level, maybe not on geographically local, but in sectors. And once we start to understand how we can build those things together with more companies and more organizations, then things can be really more decentralized in a way of how to apply technology.
Fantastic.
Maybe it's just a dream, but it's
No,
good.
but it's great perspective and approach to it. So for our listeners who are interested in using AI in their organizations, in their businesses, but don't come from a technical background, what are the 2 or 3 practical steps from your perspective they should take before implementing AI? 3 or more or less than 3, I don't know.
Yeah, first make the wish list and then see what tools are available, and not just limit yourself to what is being offered, but actually like investigate. It's worth to investigate. And also not to feel too much competition between other organizations that are, especially if you are sharing a mission, then you can actually develop things together. Because it seems like because usually like economically it's like a big investment to make, either in talent or in like people dedicated to it, or actually acquiring the tech or the time to build it. So if you do that together and you can share it after, it does help a lot. So Yeah, I would do those three things.
Wow. One of the big challenges, according what I've read about AI and organizations, is knowing whether AI implementation is actually working or not, right?
Mhm.
So, how should organizations evaluate the use of AI in their business? Or perhaps, what should they measure or look for if they want to know whether this implementation of AI is working or not?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, if it helps you to reach your own already objectives, like if you want, if you run your social enterprise and it's about impact verifications, then you need to go there. And that is also one use case of AI that I think can be used very efficiently. It's like really analyzing what is the impact you are creating, because it's very good in analyzing and analyzing a lot of different data and getting it back to you in a shape that is efficient. But
Yeah, I suppose if
yeah,
your objective is to, I don't know, maybe reduce cost, in your operations, you can see whether or not by implementing AI, you reach the goal that you expect, no? I
yeah,
suppose.
exactly. It's like you just need to measure it on the goals that you already set, and don't go setting completely new goals just because AI is there either.
Yeah,
Happens a
true.
lot. Like, oh, we have these goals, how we can reach it? Oh, now there's AI. Oh, we should put new goals that are more bigger, and then we can go for them. I would go for your goals that you already set, and then you go bit by bit. Don't expect the magic wizard to come to your company and solve all your problems.
Of course, of course. And let's say for leaders managing teams,
Mhm.
from your opinion, how do you handle resistance or perhaps a little bit of fear when introducing AI into an organization?
Yeah, I would treat it as an extra team member and make it not on a higher level than the other team members. It's really like a collaboration. So if you just introduce a new colleague, it's different than if you introduce the system that is going to be better and smarter than all of you. And have it like a specific role, like everybody in your team has a specific role and specific objectives. The AI also has it, and it can be accountable for that role. It can be questioned like anyone else. And then I would definitely dedicate some time in everybody really getting to know, and also to express what are the fears and resistance. Because if you do some rounds of how people are looking at this new technology or the new team member, then you already have that out there. Because otherwise, this becomes like a daily frustration that sometimes can build up to something not so efficient in your team.
Yeah, of course.
So I would definitely make space for those doubts and the fears to be expressed and addressed. Definitely.
Yeah. So just to basically wrap up this fantastic podcast, thank you, Nikki, for joining us. What does using AI responsibly in business really mean in simple terms?
Yeah, not be passive about it. Like really make your research, make sure you understand what is the tool you are bringing your team, what it does, and what you want it to do. And yeah, that doesn't sound so complicated. Maybe it's not such a good advice, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really like how critical you are about stuff in general, right? And I like, yeah, but it's very important to have skepticism about AI. So, what books or maybe like authors or digital activists or digital professionals would you recommend our listeners to go through to perhaps, be more critical about the use and, the management of AI and blockchain in general?
That's a good question. Um, I would definitely just for fun see the I think it was Friedman that did an interview with the creator of OpenClaw, or one of the creators, because it's been created with many people, and it's a nice interview because you can see that it's just a programmer having fun with technology and seeing what it can do, and that I feel like opens up a little bit the perceptive, it seems all like very serious and very smart and very incredible, and it is. I mean, it's but it's also a lot of fun, and most of the things that are actually meaningful are created because somebody needed it for himself and created it, and then it just also helps other people. So it's I like this podcast. I would recommend it. What else? You caught me a little bit off guard. I did not have this prepared, but I can send you some things if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, but it's good. Okay, so we looked into this podcast that you mentioned before. Yeah. Although also, like, I know you admire a lot Audrey.
Yes, for sure.
So maybe that's a good advice, no?
Yeah, this is good as well. Actually, she did launch like a manifesto. It's like the 6 cares, and I would definitely recommend that. I will send you the link as well after, just for you to have it as a reference, because it's really like a guide of how to look at this technology and what it can mean for you, and that if we use this technology to actually care for each other instead of having an antisocial network, that's how she says it. It's very cool. So that is definitely that's definitely.
So Audrey, in summary, Audrey Tang, right?
Yeah, Audrey Tang.
Why is she famous for?
I mean, she started the sunflower movement in Taiwan, which was the kind of resistance against the regime in the most peaceful way possible. And she's a hacker, actually, original. And then she worked with the government as a digital minister, the first digital minister that existed. And now she's really ambassador for democracy all over the world. So at this moment, she is flying, I think, every 2 days to go to talk to people. And her message is very, very important. And it's really about democracy, basically.
Fantastic. Digital democracy, no?
In the end, it's actually democracy.
It's the same, yeah, is it?
But it's basically how we can use technology to make democracy actually happen. And that includes including all the voices of countries or cities, or how you want to do it in a responsible way, and actually listening to that, and communication, creating different systems of voting systems like quadratic voting, for example. And these systems that we can definitely improve and use technology for that instead of the other way around.
Fantastic. So here you go, people. Google Audrey Tang, Taiwan digital minister. No, the Minister of the Digital Affairs. No, it was.
Yes, I mean, that's not her current post, but she used to be the digital minister. Now she is ambassador. I will send you all these links. So it's on the.
Fantastic, Nikki. That was a fantastic time with you. Thank you for enlightening us with all this information. I'm pretty sure our audience would appreciate this, because it's so unknown. Even though for the tech savvy, implementing to businesses is also, for now, space that it could be, anything could happen. So let's say we're gonna be part of this new information about it and how to implement it for good, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your work, Andreas. It's amazing.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for this time.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.